Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kyusho here, and now, before we do start, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, we had Deku, Mina, and Kai. These three were scoping out the situation, and they were actually trying to wait for the deal to go down. However, Mina and Kai got a little distracted. Deku, he heard some noise and alerted the two as to what was happening, and they found out a lot more. The D and aliens were posing as Forever Knights, and they met somebody who was selling off alien tech, alien weapons to be exact, and that was not very good. Now, Deku, he used Big Chill and tried to take them all down. He froze many of the aliens in place, and even made sure to take out the driver of the truck. However, whenever he did so, he discovered that they were wearing some sort of mask to make them appear human. And Deku, he even reunited with an old enemy of his, one he thought he'd never see again. Because space, it's a very big place. But apparently the universe is smaller than you expect. Because Bakugo Katsuki, he was the one selling off these weapons. Now, Deku, he made things quite apparent. He doesn't trust Bakugo, but he knows enough about Bakugo to understand he has a stake in Earth. And they're fairly certain this is not good. They don't know the motives or reason why these aliens are on Earth yet. However, so far, they've thrown around the idea of an invasion. And that isn't too good. His future self talked about a few things. He talked about how Earth would be invaded multiple times. And that is just one of the things Deku's worried about. Now, Bakugo, he was quite alarmed. However, at the same time, he was also a little bit more calm. But Deku revealed something. He knows Bakugo is half of Mosian, and they go crazy when they absorb power. He's not using it as an excuse, but all he's saying is he can understand where Bakugo was in the past. And this time, maybe it could be different. Maybe if he helps Suzuku, he can clear his record and actually be a plumber. Maybe do some good and be the hero he wanted to be when they were kids. And that actually struck a bit of a chord with Bakugo. If Earth is going to be invaded and taken over, there's someone here who he doesn't want harmed. He has his mother. And his father, well, the man's been long dead for a while. But that's only one problem. For right now, though, he wants to get his money back or get paid. So, this could be pretty good. If there are aliens on Earth, maybe he could swipe some tech and sell it under the table. At least get something out of all this. And Bakugo, he went to go grab his car. Now, with that being said, Mina isn't really too sure how to feel about Bakugo. But Deku, he knows they need all the help they can get. They don't know what they're dealing with. And this is only one problem at a time. If Bakugo betrays them, they'll get to that bridge when they get there. And Izuku, he's just wishing he knew which one was the heavy hitter in this watch. Because otherwise, Bakugo, yeah, he's gonna have a lot of problems. Because Izuku isn't the same kid he was before. He won't pull his punches. Now, Deku, he currently doesn't stand there. As Kai and Mina, the two are talking about a few things. And Bakugo, he has to pull his car around, as currently Mina, she was actually going to carry the weapon over. Her talking about a few things. She's not too sure she can get a reading off of it, but maybe she can track down, well, the aliens. They wanted this tech, right? So, how often has Bakugo been selling it to them? Hmm? This is the second deal I've had. Why? Okay, not good. So, what else is there really? Now, Mina doesn't look down, and Bakugo does talk about it. He just sold them standard level 5. I mean, it's not good level 5, but it's still level 5. So you were cheap on them? They weren't paying enough. They didn't pay for the good stuff. Right. Okay. Mina, that stuff belongs to Bakugo. So, hmm. Now, Bakugo does see Deku. I'm going to turn and walk over. Him going to bend down to one of the aliens and bring his hand out, grabbing the mask as he does that tell Bakugo. He has an idea. And Mina does a turn. Deku holding up the mask as Mina does understand. And let's currently cut to some time later in the car, where Bakugo, he is a bit annoyed about all this. He's basically working with the plumbers to get a lighter sentence, or even just get just a slap on the wrist on his record and let go. Though, this is kind of interesting. I mean, being a plumber, that's something else. But he's still got questions. And Bakugo tried to ask exactly what it means to be a plumber. And Deku, he does try to give another explanation. They're basically the cops of the galaxy. Earth isn't too high on the radar. But after everything that happened with Vilgax and Scare, it might actually be more notoriable. Especially because of him having the Omnitrix. Your watch? Bakugo actually isn't going to turn his head, talking about it. So his watch makes him what? One of the most well-known guys in the universe? Bakugo, how long were you out in space? Uh, Sometimes it gets iffy. Days blend together, some stuff happens. Though, why do you really want to know? Because you talked about those guns being level 5. What do you think the Omnitrix is? I don't know. Level 10? Bakugo, the Omnitrix is level 20. 20. Level 20. Yeah. And I'd say it's very dangerous. Listen, I won't get too much into it, but me and Mina know how serious the situation is. Deku turning his head. And Mina, she is still trying to read the mask. Her telling Bakugo. It's a bit iffy, but she thinks they might be nearby in, uh, hang on. The energy is, no. Kai's gonna sit there. And she tries to ask Bakugo exactly where he got the wheels from. And Bakugo, he doesn't say a word. As Kai does a turn to Izuku. Her is trying to ask, wouldn't it be easier to use Jet Ray? Maybe, but I gotta save the time. Besides, without a timeout timer, I don't know whenever I'll turn back. I'd rather not turn in the middle of the air. Really? So it upgraded, but it didn't keep that? No. Besides, I don't have access to all my aliens anymore. I lost a lot of them. You did? Huh. So what good's that watch? Better than your powers. Really? Bakugo turning his head. And Mina does go to express. She thinks it's just off of the road. And, well, about a mile or so into the woods. Or canyon? No. Bakugo, he has to pull over. And everyone, they do at least begin to make their way there. Since Bakugo doesn't want to scratch the paint on his ride. Now, currently everyone, they are walking through the canyon. And it does seem a little strange. And Deku, he actually is thinking about it a lot. Currently, Mina, guiding the group with her energy reading powers. And trying to follow this thread. Now, Deku, he actually is walking. His mind a little preoccupied. Though, he's also trying to come up with an excuse. He can tell his mom, flat out, that there's alien activity. Something's happening on Earth, and things aren't too good. But I mean, if he does tell her that, she's going to be annoyed. She'll understand, but she'll try to talk to Grandpa. Get more involved, and that's just the whole thing. It's not worth the effort. No, no. If he just tells her flat out something's happening, she could just let him off with it. I mean, he'll get to do all this, and save the world, then hey, back to their standard agreement. Ugh. You know, maybe it is a little too much effort. Just tell her and let it be that. Hey, Mom, gotta save the world. Bye. Right. Then on Deku's mind. And everyone, they actually do come up to a location where the DNA aliens, they actually have been doing quite a lot. And Deku, whenever they do go down into the tunnel and actually find the system where the ship is, they do stare on. The aliens are doing quite a bit of things. And it's alarming. Now, everyone they currently are watching on. And Kai, she actually does try to talk about what they can do. If they can actually go down there and take them all down. I mean, they can just pick them off one by one if they need to. Or get into a direct confrontation. Do they know what they can do? And Deku, here's their turn, telling Kai they can do quite a bit. They can shoot some sort of goo, and he thinks that it's like an adhesive. It's sticky and it's also like foam, I guess. It sets quickly, so be careful on that. Right. Mina, what about you? Ideas? Not really too much. Though we don't know what they're planning. You're right about that. Bakugo bring his hand up. Him bring it down to the rock and going to absorb the material. And he does gotta talk about it. If they're gonna be busting some heads, they need a bit of a distraction, right? Bakugo, don't be gun-ho. You're not the one who gave me orders. I'm not. We gotta figure this out. This is an opportunity. If we can find out what's going on, everything can be good. Deku turning, bringing his hand down and actually grabbing the mask that's currently is attached to Mina's belt. Him gonna bring it up and bring it to his head. And right now, Deku, he does try to tinker around with this thing. And Bakugo, he does stare on. As Deku, he actually does turn into another person. Before he does the switch again. Yeah. Deku, he does mess with the mask for a second. Before Bakugo does have to fix it. And currently, Deku, he is going to walk down. Currently, him disguised as a DNA alien. Now, everyone, they do watch Deku blend into the crowd. Him looking around for seeing a cart. Him walking over, grabbing it, and going to actually walk it up onto the ship. And everyone, they do see Deku go inside. Now, Deku, he does have a lot going through his head. But most importantly, he's thinking about what to do. How to get through everything and how to figure this out. If it's just one ship, then they're good. But if these people infiltrated the plumbers, it's got to be more than that. A lot more. Right. Okay, so what can they really do? Now, Deku, he does gotta think. Currently him pushing along the cart, as he does gotta bring his hand down. Him going to actually try and reach around and find his badge. Before Deku, he does eventually find it. Him pulling it out and going to send over a communication line to Mina. And currently Deku's to stick the badge directly to the cart as he has to start talking. Him somewhat whispering as Mina is talking herself. Them currently trying to understand what's going on. And Deku, yeah. He's looking around the ship. And he does eventually find something. Him going to actually turn and walk into the room after grabbing his badge. Him looking around. And it's... not good. Now, someone, they do come to walk over. And the alien does try to speak in a language he does not understand. And Deku's just stare on. Him not saying a word. As Deku just does do one thing. He brings his hands up and clocks the alien directly across the face. The alien being sent flying down and smashing onto the ground. And Deku, he does think. Right. Okay. So, him shaking off his knuckles. That was close. Now, Izuku, he's got a lot going through his mind. And he does try to tell everybody else. He does need a bit of a distraction. The aliens, they are getting a little suspicious. So if they have something, do it now. Otherwise, he'll look on the ship and figure things out. Deku's just thinking. Him bringing his hand down and going to actually look at his wrist. Him going to bring his hand back up, grabbing the mask and pulling it off. Looking back down at his wrist, seeing the Omnitrix. Now, Deku, he does actually press down to the buttons. Him going to actually see the aliens pop up as he does spin the dial. Him going to actually stare down and then press down. Currently, Izuku going to turn into Humongosaur. And Deku, he does feel the way his body is going to change. Him going to stand there after a flash of light. And Deku, he does going to bring his hands up. Him staring down at them and feeling good. Right. Interesting. They're just going to think. This one's got some pretty good abilities, doesn't he? Okay, so let's see. Follow instincts, Izuku. What do you do whenever you're in danger? Now, Deku, he has to start growing in size. And right now, Deku, he has to start stomping around the room. Him would actually bring his hands up and smashing to the walls. And currently, Deku, he does start to tear a few things apart. He wants to make sure that this ship can be taken down and taken out. If not, at least be stranded here. And right now, he has to do what he can. And the aliens do start to get a security alert. And whenever the D and aliens do to start running onto their ship, Bakugo, Mina, and Kai, they all do to start jumping into action. Kai going to stand back up and begin to fire her blaster. And currently Mina does bring her hands up and throw herself directly over the rock. And Bakugo, he actually turn running in. Him, right now, rushing at the aliens and going to actually bring his hands up. And Mina does try to be a lot more careful. Bring her own hands up and sing out energy blast. And Reno Kai does just stand there, her covering Bakugo as does his charge in. Him smashing into one of the aliens and grabbing their gun. Him turning into the metal as they turn and bring his hand up, blasting away at them. And there currently is inside the ship, where Deku, he is rampaging around. And currently is smashing the wall and looking around. Him right on the armory as some of the aliens, they were deploying and delivering weapons. And Deku, he has to stare at many of them. Them going to actually turn towards him and bring out their blasters. Deku rushing in and smashing directly into one. Him going to actually turn and swing at one, hitting it with his tail, sending him flying into the wall. And Deku does then going to turn. Him seeing a door as I bring his hand up, smashing directly into it. And Deku, he has a dent into it before bringing his hand up. Him smashing into it again as the door is sent flying off. Him going to bend down and look inside, seeing all of the weapons. Now, Deku, he is not happy. The aliens have been stockpiling weaponry and he does not like it. Him shrinking down as much as he can before actually going to bring his hands up. Him ripping the door open more as he actually bend down inside more. Him looking around the room. Some of this tech he thinks he recognizes because there's a blaster in the back that has a stock similar to a plumber weapon. And that doesn't look good. And Izuku, he's a bit more annoyed. Currently, him going to bring his hand down and tap onto the Omnitrix. Him is trying to think about what he can do. And Deku, he does think. Okay, so let's see. Come on, he knows there's something. There we go. Hello? Izuku? What are you doing? Good, it did work. Listen, there's a lot happening. I found something. Weapons, the armory. There's tons of stuff here. Right. So what now, detective? Is that Bakugo? Yeah, listen, we're sort of busy dealing with stuff down here. But what else did you find? Plumber tech. Not good. Now, Deku, he has a turn. Him hearing a sound, as right now a hybrid commander, they do to jump down. Deku staring at the large creature, which does have multiple eyes and long limbs. And it does a step forwards, expressing to the creature, it really should not be here. And Deku's a turn. him rushing forwards, yelling out about how they shouldn't be on Earth. Now, Deku starts to grow in size, and the creature does a rush forwards as does a turn and dodge the way of Deku's fist. Them bring their hand up, uppercutting Humongosaur. And currently Deku, he actually is a lot more alarmed. Him being sent dragging backwards as he bring his hand down. I'm gonna get ready. And Deku, he actually bring his hands up. Him gonna shrink down a bit to this thing's size, since it does pack a bit of a punch. Though, he's gonna sacrifice some of that strength for a little bit more speed. And Deku's gonna run forwards. Right now the alien, staring at Deku, as if he does gonna do so, instead of throwing his hands out with a straight, solid punch, he's gonna do one thing. Here's a spin, sending his tail out, smashing directly into the alien, as if smashing backwards into the wall. Deku turning back and rushing forwards, smashing directly out with his left hand. Him smashing through the wall and sending them flying through. Currently Deku gonna charge through, smashing directly through multiple layers of the ship. And currently Deku's gonna bring his hands up, smashing this thing down onto the ground. Bring his hands over his head, smashing down. Bring his fist backwards and pounding it directly into the face, over and over. And the alien, it doesn't lay there. Deku, angry. He doesn't want these things to invade his planet. He doesn't want them on Earth. He already knows what's at stake and it just makes him angry. They might be his greatest enemy. If not them, then who? And that, it does worry him. His grandfather might be dead. He might already be dead and this timeline could have already changed. So, it's a problem. And currently the alien does bring its hand up. It, grabbing Humongosaur's fist, as actually to bring his hand up, smashing Deku directly in the throat. And Deku, he is a lot more alarmed. Them going to sit up and push Deku backwards as he is sent flying down to the ground. The alien going to get back up as they do comment on it, stepping forwards. An insolent creature is indeed what he is. He will not be tainted by his flesh, and he will make one thing quite clear. He is an abomination. Him going to step forwards, bring his hand out and grabbing Humongosaur's tail. Him going to actually start pulling as Deku begins to be dragged along. And Deku, he does start growing in size. The alien actually going to turn and swing him around as Deku, he is still growing. And right now he is sent smashing through the air, currently being sent flying out of the ship and smashing onto the ground. And Deku, he has to lay there for a second. Him going to actually get back up as Baku's to turn his head. Oh hell, what is... him seeing the logo on Deku's chest. And currently the ship, it is start to blast off. The aliens going to actually turn and see that. Some trying to run back, and others trying to cover their allies. And currently Deku, he has to see that. The ship going up and up and up, as he has to bring his hands up. Him getting back on his feet and growing in size. Him smashing his hands directly into the ship, as trying to dig his fingers inside. And Baku does see it. Deku grows in size and begins to grow more and more armor. His tail grows spikes. And currently Deku, he is trying to hold this thing down. However, Zuko, he's not really being very successful. The ship does begin to start going up into the air. And Deku, he actually is able to put enough weight onto it to somewhat turn its trajectory a bit. It, whenever it goes up towards the exit to the cave, does go grind against the side of the top. And Deku, he actually does get hit by the rock. Now, Deku, he does actually go flying back down. Mina, Kai, and Bakugo going to turn and run off, as he goes to smash onto the ground and then get back up. Him a bit annoyed. And currently is at turn looking at Mina. Him asking if they found anything. And they don't really say a word, but Deku does talk about it. He met one that can actually talk. One he thinks is in charge. And that isn't good. Though there was something he did say. He called him tainted. And it didn't make sense. Now, Mina's a bit confused. And Bakugo, he does try to ask about the appearance of the alien. And Izuku, he talks about how they can deal with that later. Right now they gotta deal with the ship. And Deku, here's a turn. Right now Humongosaur gonna run out of the cave, as he has to shrink down. And Deku, when he has to get outside, he has to look around. Him seeing the ship in the distance. And Deku, he has a smile. Him gonna bring his hand up to the Omnitrix. Okay, so let's see. He remembers he was able to do this trick before. Come on. Okay, so Deku bring his hand out, pressing on the Omnitrix as the dial does make a sound. And Deku, he just starts spinning it. Okay. Him bring his hand up and pressing down. And Deku, he has a change into Big Chilled. Him bring his hands up. Yes. Right. So the trick does still work. Him gonna fly up into the air. And Deku, he is trying to think. There's a lot he still needs to do. Catch up to the ship, get inside, and then take it down. Depower it? Right. Okay. Maybe freeze over the engines. Make it crash inside the desert, and then talk about it to the plumbers. They can't ignore this evidence. And then maybe if he can... yeah, no. If the plumbers are compromised, they're on their own. Then on Deku's mind. And Kratos will fly up to the ship. And the ship, it does to get close to the city. Him going to actually bring his mouth up and blast directly into the engines. Currently the ship going to have the engines freeze over as it does start to melt quickly. And Deku is going to turn intangible, flying inside and being able to freeze over quite a lot of things. And currently Deku does a fly throughout the ship. Him trying to do what he can. And that has been quite a bit. Now, currently Deku does a fly up into a room. Him going to bring his hands up and turn solid again, as is to try and type away into the computer. But there's a problem. A lot of the stuff here doesn't make sense, and he can't... shit. The language is different. Come on. Just something work. Him smashing his hand down to the console, and the console doesn't make a sound. And currently information should pop up. And Deku, he stares at some things that he doesn't understand. Well, there's pictures. And, No. It does concern Izuku, because he doesn't see one simple thing. He sees some sort of pylon. And, Now, Deku's hear an explosion. Him turning his head, as right now, the ship is beginning to go down. And Deku, he does need to get out of here. However, currently there actually is the DNA alien commander, who, he has to walk into the room and stare at Deku, a lot more annoyed. He thought someone was accessing the server unauthorized. And right now Deku does a turn back to them. Then I'm going to rush forwards as Deku gets go intangible and fly through the floor. Him, knowing the ship is already about to go down. And currently Deku, he has to start flying down. Him, unsure whether or not the ship will go down completely. Though, he can watch on and intervene later. Now, Deku currently has to fly down before 10 feet above the air, or 10 feet up in the air, he has to turn back to human. Him gonna smash down and roll into the desert sand. And currently has to sit back up and look, seeing the ship begin to explode as it smashed down inside the desert. And Bakugo, Mina, and Kai, the three do come rolling up with the car. Now, Deku, he does actually sit there. And he's definitely a little bit injured. Though, it's not too bad. But something is weird. Deku actually looking at his shoulder. And seeing a weird thing on his arm. He was hit there with Humongousaur by a blaster, but he didn't feel a thing. Yeah, it kinda did hurt and sting, but that was it. Though, is that gonna leave a bruise? Now, Deku, he does think for a minute. That's different. He never maintained the damage. Now, Mina does come running up. Her asking Izuku if he's okay. And Deku has a turn, trying to talk about how he's fine. Though, maybe they all should go home. I mean, they should check this out first, but definitely get home later. Especially because he knows he probably broke curfew. And Mina does a somewhat smile. And Kaida try to talk about it. She can check it out and they can all head home. I mean, If it's all that bad, then she'll just call them. If she sees anybody who she doesn't think she can take on, she'll make sure to give them a call, or even track them down. Follow them to where they might be hiding. See if this is actually bigger than they think. And Bakugo does get a comment. She's stupid if she thinks that she can do that alone. And she doesn't turn to Bakugo. Her would actually tell him. It's not stupid when you're trained. Besides, she could do a lot more than well, what is it? Guy with powers can? She was trained as a plumber. He has powers. Don't think that makes up for experience. Now, Bakugo just won't smile. Him talking about it. He's going to investigate the ship. If he finds anyone he can crack the heads of, he's going to. Besides, they sort of do still owe him some cash. And Deku does a turn to Bakugo. I'm a bit annoyed. As currently, there actually is where Kai does bring her hand down. Her gonna call her ship as it is gonna fly overhead. And currently Kai, she's just trying to talk about it. It's gonna land as Bakugo, he does this on stare on. Him, definitely a little jealous of that thing. Now, currently Kai does a walk up and onto it. Her expressing. She'll monitor the airspace to make sure nothing gets in or out. And if she does need to, she'll contact somebody she thinks that she can trust. See if he might be able to talk to anyone. Find out what's actually happening with the plumbers. She can deal with that, and they can be boots on the ground. How's that? And everyone, they do just won't look at each other. Deku gonna nod. And currently Mina, she has to talk about it herself. She's still gotta do some homework. And well, if Izuku does need it, she can give him a lift. Now, Kai does a turn. Her staring at Mina. Her going to actually smile and turn back to the ship. Walking inside as Bakugo, he has a turn getting back into his car. Him going to turn the key and drive up towards the actual ship. Now, Mina's going to bring her hands down. Her going to actually create a platform as Deku just walk onto it. And the two, they fly back to the city. And Mina does going to drop Deku off. Deku actually going to talk about it with her a bit. The two can meet up tomorrow, discuss more about it, and actually see what they can do. I mean, if this does go further than they think, then they've got to be prepared. He'll talk to his mom, and maybe she can talk to her mom. Right. Though, never mind. What is it? It's nothing. See you tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. I'm going to turn and walk towards the door. And Mina does fly off. Her thinking about a few things herself. There's a lot going through her head. I mean, an alien invasion. And trouble being the first time they meet again. I mean, yeah, it probably would be a good idea to wait till everything does die down. Or is over? Yeah. Find out what they're planning, go from there, and maybe talk to Izuku. That's a good idea. They're gonna walk inside. And currently there actually is his mother. And Enko, she does actually turn to Izuku. Since it is 11 o'clock at night, and he came home late. Very late. And she wants to know where he was. And Deku, he does try to tell her. He was hanging out with Mina. Mina Ashido? Yeah, Mom. My friend. Me and her might go to different schools, but we still do see each other sometimes. Really? Yeah. What of it? So, what were you doing, Izuku? Because I've tried to call your grandfather, but he has not answered. So, you mind filling me in? Fine. Mom, it's a lot to explain. Can we just sit down and talk? Now, Inko is a bit annoyed. And there actually is Mina. When Mina does get home, it is very difficult. However, her mother, she is a bit more understanding. She's talking about plumber business. And Mina's mom, yeah, she can understand. However, she's also trying to think about what to do, when to actually have that talk. I mean, she doesn't have the spark, but Mina does. And it's only a matter of time before she comes back to Earth. So, maybe tell her daughter about her alien heritage before Grandma shows up and completely just sidetracks her entire daughter's life. I mean, maybe. No, no. Mina's not ready yet. Though, will she ever be? That on her mind. Her daughter's more mature. Her daughter's smarter. She's not stupid. Though, when it does come to emotions, she knows that Mina has she knows that Mina has challenges not using them, but handling them. I mean, she can understand. She was a wreck whenever her dad died. And Mina, from what she does understand, she was there. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And to have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.